Welcome to the whimsical town of Mryland. Be sure to stop by our sweet shops, meet our adorable and friendly residents, explore the forest with a magical pink heart, and witness the cannibalization of a giant cloud bear at the hands of its cute animal citizens. Hello everyone, Jordan here. If you haven't already noticed from what I choose to personify myself as, or the content that I watch, I like cute things. One of the things that I like is Sanrio. I like watching some of their cartoons like Super Cute Adventures at Gretsuko or Onagai and My Melody, along with logging in 100 hours in Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Jesus Christ. So it's no surprise that one of the things that caught my eye last year was the Netflix stop-motion anime series, My Melody and Kuromi. My Melody and Kuromi surrounds the well-known and established characters of the same name, and speaking as a fan, they are some of my favorite characters next to Cinnamoroll. The show was first announced on January 8th, 2025, and was released in July of the same year, and my mind was completely blown at how well done and polished the stop-motion animation was. Not to mention, it was the 50th birthday of My Melody and the 20th birthday of Kuromi, and it was going to be streaming on Netflix, which makes sense considering other Sanrio productions like Gretsuko and Gudetama also streamed there. So you could tell that Sanrio had a good relationship with Netflix. And while the show would stay fairly silent until the summer of 2025, Netflix as usual kept the interest going with new trailers and clips of what we were looking forward to, showing the passion of the show on display, which also included a very interesting ad where My Melody and Kuromi mess around at Netflix HQ.
Are you trying to copy a plushie? Wait, how were you able to do that?
So then, the show finally came out, and what do I think of it? Well, I certainly found it a unique experience between the characters to the stop motion to the darker themes, but I think it's best if I convey my thoughts in different sections. Let's begin. I would like to apologize on the 4-month-ass-old poll I made, just ignore the gap, But first, do you know how many people who watch my videos are subscribed to the channel? 0.6%! That's pretty fucking sad! So, if you don't mind, please help a lad out and subscribe. Before we actually begin, I will give a spoiler warning as the story does take some heavy turns as the show goes on. So are we good? Good. As stated before, the show starts the iconic Sanrio characters My Melody and Kuromi. As they go through a serialized story in their home of Mryland, My Melody makes sweets in her sweet shop with her best friends My Sweet Piano and Flat the Mouse. Kuromi is jealous of My Melody upstaging her and aims to try and claim glory over her in the bake-off hosted by Chef Pistachio. My Melody at one point finds a magical pink heart in the forest which has the power to make any sweets irresistible to eat, but has the side effect of later making people completely savage, to which My Melody and Kuromi must put aside their differences in order to cure everyone of the heart's effects, all the while the heart itself is stuck with Chef Pistachio. This plot is definitely interesting beyond your normal cartoon for young girls. While the main dynamic is about two characters who have differences learning to cooperate, it's also about meaningful growth as we see Kuromi fall out of her old habits to try to make something better of herself, and gain self-worth, and slight spoiler alert, we learn of Chef Pistachio's tragic past and we see him later try to better himself by the end. And speaking of the characters, starting off, we have the first protagonist of the series, My Melody. Her personality is mostly taken from Onagai My Melody. She's very blissful, innocent, and kind to other people, and doesn't mind when Kuromi antagonizes her. But in addition, we see a side that we rarely get to see from her, and that is a sense of hopelessness. As Mryland and her friends turn on her, we see a more quiet and sadder persona knowing she can't make things better. It shows a great impact considering her last appearances where she was always a ray of sunshine whenever she appears. But they still remember to keep her sweet and caring side, knowing that even at her darkest hour, there is still a glimmer of hope. Kuromi being my favorite Sanrio character is a fun and chaotic one. Like with My Melody, she is based on her portrayal in Onagai My Melody. She is constantly bitter at My Melody for having her attention taken away from her, and has a vendetta against My Melody. Not to mention she has a bad attitude towards people criticizing her as she constantly manhandles and yells at people, all the while trying to sell gross Japanese sweets. But as mentioned before, we see her grow in an arc where she has to learn to sympathize and work together with My Melody, and has to admit to her own insecurities if she wants wants to become a better person. And while she doesn't have her closest friend Baku to support her, she does have new characters Tamba and Sasage. Two characters, while nothing noteworthy, just being comedic henchmen. They do help Kuromi with their arc as they lose her own sentience, showing that Kuromi has to learn to care for others other than herself, as she realizes who she's bonded with and loses her self-centeredness. Flat is a slightly different character than he was in Guy in My Melody, where he was the voice of reason and had a crush on My Melody. Here, the crush part was taken away, but they still made him a voice of reason as the one to support My Melody with a blunt but caring demeanor, and even gave him his own spotlight as a protagonist separate from My Melody. When Chef Pistachio gave Kuromi the win, he stood up for My Melody and tried to get to the bottom of it. He's the one who crashed out at My Melody for keeping Mr. Heart a secret, as if she told them the destruction of Mryland and their shop could have been saved. And he goes off of My Sweet Piano to discover the origins of the Cloud Kingdom and Mr. Heart. He's objectively the GOAT of the show. My Sweet Piano is the wildcard character. While she speaks in Moz until the finale, and mostly plays support, they give her fun stuff to do as she likes to play music, fun dynamics and fight scenes, and make her a secret poet who will harm anyone for snooping on her. Also, that scene where she fights off the bats goes harder than any scene in the Devil May Cry anime, I'm not sorry. And finally, we have Chef Pistachio, the main antagonist. He comes off as a manipulator, influencing Kuromi after giving her the win at the bake-off to make her feel special, then using the heart to corrupt all of Mryland. But as we soon learn, he did have some sympathy behind it, as he once used it for his own greed, so that way his customers could have been satisfied, but ended up ruining his entire kingdom and even getting its father killed and eaten. So it's a case of hurt people hurting other people, which, while not justifying his actions, does give you his side into what he does. And speaking of Mryland and the Cloud Kingdom, it's best that we talk about the visuals themselves with This is an amazing stop-motion production, hands down. From the character designs, to the locations, to how the characters move. And while I am aware this isn't Sanrio's first stop-motion production, as we had Hello Kitty Stump Village, Let's Roll Cinema Roll, even going as far back as 1979 with the film The Nutcracker Fantasy, it's no question that this is the most impressive Sanrio stop-motion production. The animation was done by Tohoku Studio, a division within the parent company Wit Studio Inc. However, it was directed by Tomoki Masato, the creator of Pui Pui Molcar, along with other Japanese stop-motion productions aiming to get rid of your sleep paralysis demon. The characters look adorable, all fuzzy to make them look like stuffed animals, along with giving them a plethora of expressions, allowing them to give more exaggerated emotions you would see in anime. This is easier to do in this style of stop-motion, as everyone has a normal body as a base, while with their face they can add smaller pieces for better freedom. As for the movement, while I wouldn't call it natural, it doesn't have to be, as everyone has a sense of energy to them that makes them appealing to watch. From the fast-paced chase scenes, to the slow and mellow drama where you could feel for the characters' struggles. They even have sequences where the characters are animated in a flat but stylized way for certain scenes that look beautiful. Smaller things like the food are stylized in a way that makes them fluffy and soft like My Melody sweets, or in the case of the molded cookies, look completely disgusting. And it's not a bad thing, as it shows that the staff knew how to get emotions of desire or disgust out of the audience. Other environmental movements like clouds and tornadoes were really well done too, as they move rapidly enough to make you feel the effect of the movement, to the point where you forget that they're practical. The backgrounds also help give off a fun, whimsical atmosphere too. Mryland is depicted with wonder and bright colors, but when the town goes into ruin, more gray and depressing colors are used to convey that. The forest is dark and mysterious, and definitely gets more intense during the horror scenes. And the Cloud Kingdom is soft and a comforting place, then using dark and depressing colors to make you realize that the place is going to hell with all the cannibalism. Not to mention, many of the behind the scenes have been posted officially online, where you could see how many of the scenes were handled, from how the characters would move, to how they handled the backgrounds to make the world feel full. Though, there is one aspect of the animation I have to touch on and how the story handles it. As mentioned many times before, My Melody and Kuromi is not your everyday girls anime. And no, it's not because it shows the inhumane cruelty of X. Like I said, the story centers around how the magic heart makes anything delicious to anyone, with the side effect of giving them a never-ending appetite for the thing they want, until they end up eating its creator. This was the total shock to a lot of fans going in, as the story depicts the residents of Mryland going absolutely feral with red eyes and fangs, and outright state they want to eat Kuromi if she doesn't give them their dorayaki. This gets even more intense. We learn of Pistachio's past after he abused the power of the heart, as we see the residents of the Cloud Kingdom outright eat his father, the Cloud King, as Pistachio is forced to watch in sheer pure horror. Even the smaller scenes like My Melody's dream of everyone calling her a bad chef, as they gain red eyes and inflate their heads like balloons, which completely comes out of left field. While it isn't as intense as Lee Hardcastle, far from it, it was still really bold for the people behind the show to make the show as dark as they did, which you really have to respect them for, especially in a day and age where most mainstream stop-motion productions in the West takes its adult themes in a more childish manner, as seen with Robot Chicken, Santa Inc., or Crossing Swords, where they would use stop-motion as a vehicle to tell edgy and bad jokes. While it's not all bad, as we have Kubo and the Two Strings, and Mary and Max, here you could tell that the staff behind the show handled it with care, as it wasn't all up in your face about it, and used its most intense scenes sparingly for greater impact. So, with all said and done, how do I think of the show in the end? My Melody and Kuromi is a show that gave me everything I wanted about My Melody and Kuromi as main characters together. The characters feel greatly fleshed out compared to Only Guy My Melody, as the characters go through more real arcs. The animation is one of the best of any Sanrio production from its characters, backgrounds, and movements. It tells a more gripping story that delves more into these characters rather than just making them look cute on screen for 12 episodes. And it definitely has a great sense of maturity which, while not beating the first 3 seasons of Agretsuko, definitely goes beyond its target demographic from its intensity to its messages. From beginning to end, you could tell there was a lot of passion to have tons of whimsical charm and emotion, which will unironically keep you on the edge of your seat of where the show goes next. I would definitely recommend the show if you have the time, especially given how each episode is only over 10 minutes long. You can definitely watch this within a few hours, and whether or not we get a season 2, I think I'm happy with the season that we have, as I don't think that there's anything that could top this story. And that's all I've got to say. Now back to more Hello Kitty Island Adventure, please. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, click that bell icon, and be sure to check out my Patreon to help support me making videos. And be sure to leave a comment to see what you want to see from me in the future. See y'all soon.